Hi, and welcome to another Mumbrella video hangout. I'm here with Simon Smith, the head of content marketing for Fairfax, and we're at the INMA World Congress. And I guess branded content, Simon, it's been a really big theme of the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of pull you aside and get some of your input. Is branded content going to save the media industry?
Look, I don't think it's necessarily going to be the silver bullet that saves the industry, but it's certainly going to contribute significantly, I think, to future revenues. It was really interesting, I think, the session we had yesterday with Neil Zuckerman from BCG, who really was positioning branded content as a huge driver for revenue for publishers, for legacy traditional publishers. The rise of content in terms of native, but also the opportunity that exists in helping brands become better storytellers.
He was basically saying that it's currently, about 10-12 billion here, and it would grow over the next 5 years to about 25 billion.
25.
Do you see similar numbers, similar growth in terms of doubling in the Australian market?
Oh, I do. I think there's significant growth to be had out of the local market in Australia. I don't think it's anywhere near the $25 billion.
If only the market was like
yes, no, we would like that. But no, look, I do think seriously there is significant opportunity in the Australian market. We are already seeing many brands, particularly in the owned media channels, producing more and more content and telling their stories in a way that they've never been able to do before. And the digital world and the social world's enabling them to do that better and better.
Okay. What else stood out to you over the last few days? I saw you were asking a question in the mobile session. Obviously, paywalls have been a big theme of the last few days. Any other standout themes?
I think for me the themes, beyond the rise of branded content, certainly mobile and how audiences are moving to mobile, and I think publishers around the world and in Australia particularly have done an incredible job in moving audience to mobile. I think we hear a lot about being digital first or mobile first. What I guess it means to me is we're being audience first. We're focusing on the audience and where they're consuming content, and if they're consuming it on content, then that's where we need to be. So we're seeing a rise of mobile consumption, but we're yet to see the transition of traditional revenues move across to the mobile platforms. And I think that's where what was clear today in the mobile session is that no matter where you are in the world, we're all grappling with the same issues of how do we know we've migrated the consumer, but how do we now migrate the revenue across, and what it means to be truly mobile centric in the way that you produce your content and therefore what you can offer advertisers. Yeah,
and you, Stefan Sevar gave a really interesting discussion, your head of mobile, on how you're reorientating and the fact that you're hiring 40 people. We've all written stories about publishers, putting people off, but you're actually putting people on in the mobile space to try and drive that orientation across the company.
Look, I think it's important that we've got to invest in growth, and where we see our growth areas, we've got to back ourselves. We've got to understand that if that's where the growth is, it's not just going to come along by itself. We've got to actually invest in it and work hard to leverage that growth out of the market. And in a lot of cases, it requires specific skill set that may not exist in traditional publishing businesses. And so it's about hiring not just more people, but the right people for those roles.
Paywalls have also been a big theme. There was an interesting session yesterday where they actually did a bit of a show of hands, and there weren't too many publishers. I don't know if Fairfax or News were in the room, but there weren't too many people outside the New York Times really backing paywalls and willing to endorse them. Did you have a view on the general consensus of support for paywalls? It does feel like certainly we've seen the Toronto Times, the Dallas Morning News, etc. walk away from paywalls. It does seem like there's a bit of ambivalence among some of the publishers around them.
I think the key point is that there is no consensus, and I think depending on your market and where you are in the world, people are experiencing different types of audience behaviours. And while we're seeing definite growth in subscription revenues as publishers, we're also growing advertising revenues. I think it just depends on where you are in the world into what's happening. What's interesting with the New York Times model is you've got a really big beast of a brand, but interestingly, they're writing significantly more revenue through subscription than they are through advertising revenue. Only yesterday they decided that with the NYT Now app was to give it away for free, which was previously charged at around $10 a month. So everyone's experimenting in this place. I think when it comes to the metered model, everyone's trialing different meters and where to start hitting the wall, how much content you give away for free. I think what's been evident is that the complete walled garden of news brands that have just a solid paywall seems to be not working, because it's all about getting your content discovered and trying to attract
social and
absolutely, and finding new audiences as well. as well. So.
Finally, we saw a really interesting presentation today by the Washington Post, and you heard Steve Hills really talking about reinventing the model and really doing some new things. Do anything stand out to you from that?
Oh, I think it was a great presentation. I think when you got a billionaire as your owner, kind of makes life probably a little easier in terms.
Well, he did actually say something to one of your bosses, saying it would be great to have a billionaire for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that would make life a little easier. Maybe get
depends which billionaire, though, right?
Yeah, correct, correct. So, look, I think that WashPo's an interesting example of a back-growing audience, but also leveraging clearly the relationship with Amazon. Giving away their content, for free on Kindles is getting their content to more and more people. In terms of the commercial model of that, I'm not sure whether that works for the Washington Post.
Do you buy with his argument that you can actually have a mass audience of millions of people and also have a paid content model unless you're a global brand? Like for a lot of these other publications, be it Fairfax News, the Toronto Star, etc. It feels like some of these publishers are really worried about that. Do you think there is a way to actually get mass audience and have a large enough subscription base?
Well, I think you can here, right, in the US, right, and I think it's all a matter of scale. Whether the market in Australia you can do that, I think only the future will tell.
All right, Simon Smith, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.